earth would you not be detailed about like how your life's going to look? Like you're not going to put any thought into it. You know, it's like, really? Like you put thought into everything else, but then when it comes time to figure out how do you want this whole thing to go? How do you want your life to live? Oh, I'll just see how it goes. Like, really? So you'll put that much stuff into the material things that you have, but not into who you are and how this whole thing's going to go down. It's like I think I was listening to like a Dave Ramsey thing one time, and he was like, you know, he said I think he said something like, you know, people will go to a grocery store and they'll spend like 30 minutes mulling over a pack of chewing gum, right? Figuring, I don't know which pack of gum I'm going to get, right? It costs like a 30 cents or something. Mm-hmm. But then they'll just like very casually buy a home. You know, like you're paying $30,000 over asking price, whatever, like, you know, sign the price. Like the biggest buying thing that most people have in their lives, you haphazardly put together, but you're going to mull over this damn chewing gum, right? You spend more time in relation to the cost of the chewing gum than the biggest decision money-wise you're going to make in your life. Like, bad idea, right? So it's like, you know, thinking about that, like, okay, this stuff is cool, but, you know, or, you know, and I'm not saying you, I'm just saying people in general. Like, we put so much thought into all of this stuff that we have. You know, like I have friends that like they do cars, and their cars, they've got everything detailed and they planned out the build. And this is what I'm going to put into it. Here's the engine. Here's the exhaust. The color is going to be this way. And then it's like, you know, again, you know, their life's in disarray. Yeah. You know, you're like, you should probably maybe put that same effort, because you obviously have a good idea of how to plan things out. Just plan out some of this other stuff and just figure out. And again, it's just an idea. It's like, let's see how do you want it to look? Just maybe think of it.
I think it's more control. Like you have more control over the car, right? You can make things a certain way.
You have control of your life. Why don't you?
You do, but like there's a lot of things you can't control. I mean,
you can control whether or not you spend time with your kids. You can control if you look at your phone. You can control if you get up every morning and work out. You can control if you decide to put in a couple extra hours and work. You can control if you go to the gym and train. You can control if you decide that you're going to work or you're going to write every morning for 1 hour before you do anything else. All that shit can be under control, and it's all that stuff that makes everything else. See, that's a.
It's harder. It's harder.
It's harder. Well, it's so easy to basically lie to yourself and say you don't have control. Yeah, it's easier because then people love to abdicate like responsibility, right? This is why people will, for instance, put their trust into someone else. Hey, tell me what to do. Right, they'll go to someone and just tell me what I need to do or tell me what I need to buy. Right, people love to abdicate responsibility, because if they don't have responsibility, then it's not on them, right? And so then if it doesn't work out, well, hey, I didn't decide this. This financial advice, this was from this guy, instead of them doing research, right? Or say, hey, listen, like you don't have to have your own business. They laid me off. It wasn't my fault, Like whereas if you have your own business, that's on you. You know what I mean? You screwed up. Right. Like, and even people like that where their businesses are failing, like it sucks, but it's like, did you store some money away for this kind of stuff? Or did you try to live balling? Right. Did you stash a couple nest eggs away for the winter? Or did you just say, you know what, I'm going to be balling. I'm making some money right now. Woo. We're going crazy. Right. Bad decision. You had control over it.
That's right.
So again, it's one of those things where we love to abdicate trust or control, but we have control. Every one of us has control of what we do on a daily basis. And again, going back to it, who you're going to be in the next 5 years, that's the person you are now. It just depends on what you decide to do every day, what you decide to read, who you decide to hang out with, what you decide to do with the time that you have here on this friggin' rock,
Yeah. It's, law of attraction, really. That's where it comes down to. The habits you make, the people, if you have a lifestyle that somebody likes or even has similar interests, like in jiu-jitsu, for example, like we find ourselves around people that are interested in jiu-jitsu, similar things, we get similar effects from it. So I think that's where you're attracting a certain type of person as well,
right? Because it to me again goes back to, it's not some sort of weird necessarily metaphysical thing. I think that you bring things into fruition, but I think it comes from more of a thing that when you're focused on those things, you subconsciously, if you will, figure things out, right? Like I think you're when you're focused on something, like if anybody's ever been really focused on some goal, it's weird how all of a sudden you just figure things out, your body subconsciously, all of a sudden you'll have this, that's it, perfect, right? Because you were so focused on this one thing. It's not just you think it a little bit. It's like the whole body, both consciously and unconsciously, is working towards this goal.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it's nice to, if you write down your ideas that you want to get done or that you want to focus on, you find ways to get them done, and you find ways to make those things happen because they're written down and because that's what you're focused on, opposed to, okay, I'm over here, I'm everywhere. Whereas if you give yourself like one thing to kind of really work towards, or at least a couple things to work towards on a regular basis, it makes it a lot easier, at least for me. Again, everybody's got their own style of doing it, but that's the way that I like to look at it. There are things you can't control 100%.
Sure.
But for me, I've always my wrestling coach's words still ring in my ears, which was, you're the master of your own destiny, right? Not anybody else, you are. And you can shape things. And I think that all too often people just kind of allow things to make them, to fold them. It's like sometimes when bad situations happen, it's like being stuck under a really large wrestler on the mat, and you're inside control, and they're squeezing the piss out of your face. How do you react? Are you going to just give up and say, I can't escape out of this? The guy passed my guard. Or are you going to be like, I'm going to stay calm and figure out what I can do from here? And it's always this way. For us, like when we were in the lockdown when it started, 2020 happened, right? So my gym is like one of the ones that was immediately on the chopping block, right, as far as businesses go. But again, I had some money stashed away. We had some amazing students. And because of a lot of the things we've done long term, both serving the students and then also doing things for people online, things like it didn't hurt us too bad. We were able to hang on to it. Because again, one of the things that we try to do every year is we try to and this is for a business perspective, if any of you guys have businesses, try to do things that are unexpected. Because again, it has a way of paying off long term, but it also has a way of really developing things in a good way. Like for instance, you guys, I got those geese for you last year, right? I just wanted to do it. Spent a couple grand, got some geese made. Special geese for all those people that have been helping out with classes and stuff like that. We've given away free seminars, right? I had some books. I had a book that I liked, and I gave away books to the students. No one else does that stuff. I'm sure someone does, but it's not a very common thing where you go to this place and you go to a gym and all of a sudden they're giving you things. And by the way, we've got a free seminar. Hey, here's a free gi from us to you. Hey, I've got some books here. I think you might like this, right? You just do those things because again, one, you should want to anyway. If you have people that are members of something you have, but also doing that stuff again, it develops a connection where, you supported us. Yeah, we'll support you we'll support you while this is going on. And so I could get into this stuff because that's more business realm. But again, you always have stuff in your control, whether you like to admit it or not. Yeah. And you should start setting that foundation early, again, with stuff, because there's always things that can happen, and things are going to crash, things are going to break all the time. And so you should be sort of thinking about those things way in advance, not waiting for them to happen and going, oh shit, what now?
Yeah. Just be prepared. Awesome, man.
Yeah. So as far as the goals, guys, that's some ideas for you. Go sit down, and if you want to, get yourself a special journal for your goals. Write out what you want to do next year, and then break those down into 3-month chunks, and then figure out, okay, what do I need to make these things happen? And again, it should include everything, and really get clear on your vision for your life. What do you want that thing to look like? You can go to the park. Just get somewhere by yourself, away from everyone, and just write it down. What does it look like? What would you perfect world? What does it look like to you? It may not look like everyone else's. Like for me, I don't have some visions of being like some billionaire that's running some crazy company or something. It's just not that. It's not even something I want to do. It sounds terrible. Yeah. Right. But I have certain things that I want to do, and again, I sort of set those out and I work towards those. And a lot of the things that I started setting years ago have worked, and I think it's largely in part because I sit down and I keep them in focus and I work towards them. So I would encourage you guys. It's a good practice. It was given to me by someone else. I continue to give it to people to encourage them to do it. Year starts off, write it down, write out your vision. What does it look like day to day? Your perfect day, perfect week. What does that whole thing look like? What are you doing with your family? What are you doing with your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your husband, wife? What kind of time are you spending with yourself? Because you should definitely have you time. You should definitely have your own little dates with yourself. Take yourself out to lunch and go buy a book or go do whatever it is that you want to do. That's mine. I'll go out to a bookstore and just kind of hang out for a little bit and whatever. But figure out things you want to do. And then, figure out your training. How does your training look? How does everything, the whole darn thing look? And then how could you make some of that stuff happen? And how could you work towards that? And what are goals you want to hit this coming year? And then break them down into chunks so that they're manageable. Just like the house analogy, right? When I got a big friggin' nasty house, it's got every room's destroyed, like that you got to fix up. Okay, we'll break it down into room by room by room. And then set it up and just work towards it little bit by little bit, and then give yourself a daily journal that you have. It could be everything from an index card. I've done that before. I like having just a pad with me that I pull out every time I sit at my desk. It's right there. Everything's written out for me. I just work towards those little things, and those are some ideas for you. So hopefully those are useful to you. If you got something from that, I always like hearing feedback from you guys, because I know sometimes some of you guys will say that stuff was useful. This is with podcasting. I don't know, because there's not a direct there's not like a comment thing in the bottom. So if it was useful to you, I don't know. So I always like hearing from you guys. So does Eugene. So if you guys got something from the podcast, you can either drop a comment or message us, either our Instagrams, right? Chewjitsu and the Jiu-Jitsu therapist, or we have the Jiu-Jitsu podcast Instagram as well. So if you want to drop us in and let us know how the response has been with this podcast or any of the podcasts, if you got something from it, we'd love to hear from it, or hear from you and know what you got from it, just so it lets us know how you guys are getting, or what you're receiving from the episodes and everything else like that. So hope everything goes well for you guys in the new year. And thank you guys so much for listening. It's been a cool year with you guys, and I appreciate you guys with your support. The podcast is growing and doing well, and I'm glad you guys are here.
Yeah, thank you guys for the support. We appreciate it. You're helping us grow and do this thing. We love doing it. And so another year down, Chew.
Another year down.
We did it. We made it. We survived.
All right, guys. So I hope you enjoyed that podcast. Hopefully, again, I just want to reiterate this. I've said this a million times in the podcast already. Take that stuff that we talked about and use it. If it's something like one idea caught you and that might be useful, go write the idea and go execute on it. It's not this is the way that you have to do it. Again, with any of the stuff that I do, it's like, it's an idea I'm sharing. This is, again, as a jiu-jitsu coach, I see myself as a guide to my students, where I say, hey, listen, I figured a few things out along the way. Let me show you this path that I have. And at some point, you guys are going to go on your own paths. But I'm going to show you where I've gotten to, and I'll assist you when you decide to go on your own path. So basically we go down this trail. I'm leading them down the trail that I've been down. And then at some point I'll notice where I look behind me and I notice they're going off into different trails, because they're like, hey, I found something over here. I want to go see what happens. And it's the same thing there. So when you guys watch my videos, when you listen to the podcast, if you find, whether it's me, whether it's another guest, if you hear something that's useful, write it down on your phone or your journal or whatever, and then execute on that one idea. One idea is a big deal. One idea can change everything. Just simply one simple idea can make a huge difference in everything. And so if you listen to the podcast and you're like, hey, I liked one thing from that podcast, go execute on it and make it happen,
So I'm taking notes right now, man.
I just say that because, again, I don't, and I hope I never come across this way, I never like to be talked at. I never like to be talked at by someone who seems to be the all-knowing guru, and so I always like to share from a situation like, look, this is the way I do it, and this is the way that I've done it from my perspective. Now, granted, I have not, if you look at what I've done and you're like, that doesn't really interest me, well, then I might not be the guy to follow.
Sure.
Maybe there's someone else you need to. But again, a lot of the stuff is kind of really basic common sense stuff. But
you're setting out a blueprint, kind of like a blueprint, a way to do it. You can take pieces,
and it changes. By the way, this is not all set in stone.
Right.
You might talk to me next year; it might be a different thing.
Yeah,
this is what I'm doing right now.
But you're providing like here's how I do it. Here's a little blueprint. Here's a guide. Do what you want with it. And it's helpful because you have been successful in many things. You have accomplished certain goals that you wanted to accomplish. So it's like to someone that's maybe struggling. Mm-hmm. Or maybe wants just a little bit of a little extra advice. I mean, I think it's very helpful. I mean,
sure.
We have these conversations. I'm always taking notes and stuff.
Good.
Just because I feel like there's things I can pick up, and I can implement. And so that's important for like you said, take those things. Even if you take one thing, we always talk about that. Like if we do a podcast, right? Mm-hmm. Take one thing, take one little piece of what we did, or one thing that you can learn and implement. Same thing. You're learning a move.
Yeah.
You're at a seminar.
You go to a seminar, one technique.
One technique could change it. Like one little tweak on your chokes or whatever.
Bro, the for you your loop choke. Mm-hmm. Like one technique that literally changed your game.
Yeah.
Like it made ripples into your game. Right?
Yeah.
Because that one choke changed the way that you played multiple positions because it became so effective at it. Mm-hmm. So it made a rippling effect into your game.
Yeah.
And one good idea that you execute on, right? Like for me, the one of the ideas that I found super huge was the daily daily habits, just figuring out stuff that I do daily. Come hell or high water, I do it daily. Dude, that was that was one of the biggest things, because then it was like, I'm just doing this stuff and it becomes almost automatic, where at some point that daily rhythm doesn't really require any thought or focus. It's like the plate's spinning. So then I can move over to something else and I can get that plate spinning.
For sure.
And so that was something that was really useful to me, and that was shared to me from someone else. So again, I just share it with you guys as I'm trying it out and using it. I'll share it with you guys. So again, hope the podcast was useful. If you guys want to join up, and as I said before, maybe I'm going to read it again, because some of you guys, I bet you skipped through the beginnings of the podcast and you maybe listen to the ends of the podcast, because I know that sometimes I'll listen to podcasts and like the first 30 minutes of the podcast is like the ad rolls.
You know what I don't think that we'll ever do? Maybe we'll sometimes do it. Somebody gives us enough.
Yeah, right. So it's just like,
what I don't want to do is, like, I don't like interrupting the podcast with sponsor stuff.
oh, the mid rolls.
Yeah.
Oh, they're rough.
I just feel like it breaks. Like, you could be in a rhythm, like listening to someone. So I guess I'm not gonna say never, but I really don't want to.
Yeah, hopefully we'll never have to. I guess that would be the only if we had to keep the thing going.
Yeah.
Right. Well, then maybe we'd be like, well, we have to do it because we have to keep the thing going.
Yeah.
But I remember somewhere they would be like, the guy's like, and the most important secret that I ever learned was
right after this.
It's like, well, no, not even that. It's like, and if you would like to hear the rest of his answer, then you're going to need to go to our back-end website and, whatever, and join. And then back to the conversation. And then they cut through it. You're like, whoa, no. Like,
it's good strategy.
I mean, it's a great strategy, I guess,
And I don't care if anybody does that. I don't know. Like, I always enjoy podcasts. Like, if I can listen all the way through them, I'm in like, because you get in like a kind of like a zone listening to. So,
but a message we got from our Patreon, Dan.
Thanks, Dan.
Dan says that he said he just joined the podcast after just joined the Patreon's the podcast's Patreon after the quality of the post-Howder episode. Surprised you guys only have 27 Patreons, but I guess people, including me at times, love to freeload. Excited to catch one of the Sunday morning episodes, and the Sunday thing he's talking about is where I talk to people live through Zoom and everything else, which I've been gone for a little bit just because of the gym stuff, but I'm back to it this Sunday. But again, if you guys want to check that out, go to patreon.com/Jiu-Jitsu podcast, the Jiu-Jitsu podcast, and you can join the Patreon, and you can get in there and get the access to the content. We have workout programs, there's videos, full-length seminars, warm-up routines, podcast extras where we're talking to the guests about all kinds of different stuff. Just all kinds of different stuff that gets thrown in there that doesn't get released anywhere else. And so if you'd like access to that, you go there and get that out. And again, you'll not be freeloading like Dan used to be, and you can jump in. And again, don't send me hateful messages. I'm just messing with you. I'm not serious about freeloading. If you want to freeload, that's fine. You can freeload. It's cool.
It's there.
It's freeloading, right? But I'm just joking with you. It doesn't bother me that you're freeloading. If I was upset about you freeloading, then I wouldn't make a free podcast. So listen. So just don't pull over your car and start sending me a nasty message. Just chill out. Just keep on driving.
Do you think people actually do that?
No.
You visualize them just pulling over. Like
I had a guy who. I don't know what was wrong with him. I was driving here, and I had to kind of brake hard when I was coming out because traffic was busy today.
Yeah.
And I remember I had to brake hard, and this dude was in a Mustang, and he was zipping through traffic. He was like froggering it, like going back and forth. But I had to brake hard, and then as traffic's going, all of a sudden, like this Mustang pulls up next to me, and like the guy's rolling his window down. And like he's yelling at me.
Are you being serious?
Oh, that's serious. He's yelling at me, and he's like saying something, and I just like smiled and waved at him. I was just like, I don't know what's going on with you, man. And he like gave me the finger, and he zoomed off, and he was zooming. You could tell this guy was stressed about something because he was driving. Like I remember this is like one of the reasons why it's kind of nice to be in business for yourself, because you don't have that same level of stress all the time where you just kind of go about your day. But man, this dude was stressed because he was driving.
It's probably your aggressive driving in your Camry.
Oh, my aggressive driving in my grandmother car. I might get a new car someday.
You think so?
I think so. I might.
You can get a Mustang?
No, God, no. I don't want a Mustang. I might get like a little SUV or something.
They're nice
with 4-wheel drive. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, so going back, we don't want to listen to my car stuff, but I just got popped in my head. ADD kicking in. And guys, if you would like to, if you want to join my email list, I do some usually 5 to 6 days a week. I send out an email. It's kind of the precursor for some of these episodes. It's also some of the stuff that goes on. Sometimes the messages that I get from the emails, like I remember, it's funny, I didn't think that anybody was actually reading them like all that closely. And then if I don't send them for a day or something, people will send me a message, hey, where's my email? Or recently I've gotten a lot of messages from people saying how much they've helped them in something.
They're helpful.
Which is neat, because it's like, again, like when I'm inside the email, you'll get, it's what's going on in my life, my experiences, the ideas I'm chewing through at the time, the books I'm reading, the trolls that I have on Facebook, I'll make fun of them, whatever, all that and more. And I also talk about the different events, products, or anything that I have going on. They don't take up a massive amount of space in the email. But if that kind of thing offends you, that I make a living doing this, then I wouldn't sign up for it. But again, a lot of people enjoy them. So if you want to see what people are talking about, you can go to Jiu-Jitsu.net and sign up you'll get a free ebook for joining up for drilling and building your own Jiu-Jitsu game plan, plus a video to go with it. And on top of that, you will get my daily email. And then again, guys, if you want to try Charlotte's Web, or if you already use Charlotte's Web or use CBD, or if you want to try it, whatever, you can go to charlottesweb.com, use a promo code Jiu-Jitsu, save 15% on the order. And if you guys would like to check out some Jiu-Jitsu gear, possibly a slick gray and black gi, or possibly just some new no-gi stuff, or whatever it is that you would like related to Jiu-Jitsu, go to epicrollbjj.com, use a promo code Jiu-Jitsu, again, save 15% on the order. And again, all that stuff helps support the podcast and brings free content to you guys so that you can hang out with us each week as we talk to you on Monday morning, or whenever you listen to this podcast, because it might be Tuesday. Mm-hmm. Could be Wednesday. You could be going through the binge. So you could have just found us last week and you're like, I'm going to listen to everything, because I know that happens. As soon as you listen to the podcast or whatever, people are like, hey, I've never heard about this thing before. Oh, and last but certainly not least, if you're in the market for some manscaping products, we'll say it like that. It's been Chewy tested from beard to balls.
B2B.
B2B. You can go to manscaped.com. You use promo code Jiu-Jitsu to save 20% on your order plus free shipping. And you can get some cool stuff.
It's good.
It's good. It's good quality products. And again, I've used them. And I like the woodsy smell. I don't know if they all smell woodsy, but the toner and stuff, like the little spray bottle stuff. Like
toner.
I don't know what toner is.
I don't know.
To me, it's like aftershave. It just smells good. I put some on as like aftershave, and it just smells good. I mean, it just smells good. It's like, I just feel like it's aftershave, but it's like it smells woodsy. Has that very like kind of has a woodsy smell to it. I like that.
Yeah, and they don't have like any. There's like, it's all natural ingredients too. I think all natural stuff in the lotions.
Yeah, I mean, I always like sort of get curious as to what all natural means.
Well, I think you can read.
Well, I know, but I'm saying, but you can break down even like a banana. You can break it down into its chemical properties, and it looks crazy.
There we go, Joe.
I'm just saying, like, because they'll be like, this is all natural. Like, and again, I know what they mean, like no parabens and stuff like that.
Yes.
No carcinogens.
I don't know what a paraben is.
Yeah. What's that?
Paraben sounds like, isn't that like a Portuguese word? Parabens?
I don't know.
Parabens?
No.
A word. I know it's something.
Okay,
I know,
okay.
I'm being silly, but I think it's also a word in Portuguese.
But like, I understand like no carcinogens and stuff, but then they'll say like, this is all natural. Like, it's like, yeah, but like natural, you can break things down into chemical properties and it's still natural. It's from the earth, but it has a really kooky name when you break it down to its chemical properties. But yeah.
Are you finished?
I'm finished.
All right.
Yeah.
Just trying to keep it together.
I'm helping people out. I'm giving them some really useful information, right?
You are. Yeah. It is. It's good.